This heatwave was heralded by a fierce storm which raged across the southern part of the UK. There were thousands of lightning strikes. One of them set fire to a house in Bristol.
Yeah, I saw a very bright flash and a very loud bang. Yeah, it's almost as if it was overhead.
As temperatures climbed today, the warnings from the Met Office got more serious. The effects of the heat won't be limited to those most vulnerable, they say. Changes in working practices and daily routines will be required.
Plenty of water and also plenty of breaks. So work for about an hour, stop for 10 minutes, work for an hour, stop for 10 minutes. Because it doesn't do anyone any favours should they sort of faint with a heat stroke or something like that. So we just manage the work and the heat as we go along.
What's powering those thunderstorms is the same thing that's making the heat particularly dangerous. High humidity levels, the amount of water vapour in the atmosphere, makes it difficult for the human body to regulate temperature and keep cool. When the body overheats and loses too much fluid, it can lead to heat exhaustion, and that can develop into an emergency if it's not dealt with quickly. The symptoms of heat stroke include high temperature, tiredness, dizziness, nausea, and a headache.
Our body has different ways to thermoregulate. We have a more physiological way, but it's got a finite capacity, whereas behaviourally, it's got a near infinite capacity. We can take clothes off, we can go into the shade, we can move to areas in different parts of our house that are cooler, and that's the key thing, is trying to click into the behavioural thermoregulation.
Can I top up any of your water?
Yes, please.
At care homes, the weather now a real threat to resident safety.
Dehydration, heat exhaustion, heat strokes make our elderly residents particularly vulnerable. So we are continuously kind of pushing fluids. We've got regular hydration rounds in the home.
Temperatures in the high 30s in the UK used to be extraordinary. The weather is changing and the unprecedented is becoming less and less unusual. Geraint Vincent, ITV News.
Well, the highest temperature recorded so far today was in London. It reached 36 Celsius, but that's just a warm-up for what's to come. Tomorrow and Thursday, we'll see the current amber heat warning zone extended further north to parts of Leeds. And of course, the rare red heat weather warning comes into effect as a result of an exceptional spell of hot and humid weather. That covers parts of Wales, the south of England and the Midlands from 9 a.m. tomorrow. Temperatures could reach close to 40 Celsius in London and across the south, meaning an increased likelihood of a threat to life, damage to energy supplies and further travel disruption. The heat is also affecting public transport. Many train companies advising passengers to avoid travelling completely on Wednesday and Thursday. Our Wales reporter Rhys Williams is in Swansea for us tonight, as you can see, and there are a lot of precautions in place, aren't there, Rhys?
Yeah, there are, and the disruption's already taking place. Most of the trains on that departure board are already delayed. The next train to London has just been cancelled. There's significant disruption actually at the end of the line of the South Wales Main Line to London, because they're guarding against point failures by locking them in place, because the steel is susceptible to buckling under this kind of extreme heat. And it's not just the heat that's caused problems today. There's been flooding due to thunderstorms which caused problems on the Elizabeth line between Paddington and Heathrow, and too in Hampton in southwest London. And this, of course, is before the worst is expected tomorrow and Thursday. National Rail is advising people to check before they travel. In fact, they're asking people to travel only if absolutely necessary within the red alert area. We're expecting reduced services all over. Chiltern Railways, Avanti West Coast, Great Northern, Gatwick Express, Great Southern, Transport for Wales, the Thameslink. Pretty much every service in this area will be affected. The industry is preparing for potential fires near railway lines and electrical faults in the overhead cables. And of course there are knock-on effects for the roads for this too. Already today the RAC is saying there's been a 10% increase in the number of breakdowns as more people drive cars that perhaps they don't often do because they're usually on the train, and they're expecting this could only get worse over the next few days as more people do this when their trains are cancelled and in some really challenging conditions.
OK, Reece, thanks very much. Well, the heat has forced hundreds of schools to close or shut their doors early over the next few days. There's no official advice being given to head teachers, but many are trying to stay open by putting special measures in place. Well, Ellie Pitt has joined us. I mean, Ellie, schools are really struggling in the intense heat, aren't they?
They are, and we're expecting around 500 that are in that sort of amber and red heat alert area to close entirely over the next few days. And this is an issue of safety, Charlene. Expecting schools to carry on like normal right now is dangerous, says the General Secretary of the National Education Unit. Our Victorian school buildings have become greenhouses, he says, and that's because even though some head teachers I've been hearing of going out buying fans, air conditioning units, it's just not enough. One school in Buckinghamshire said it was closing as classrooms do not have air conditioning and indoor temperatures are likely to rise significantly above outdoor levels during this hot weather spell. Another in Gloucestershire said it could not safely manage the expected extreme temperatures across the site, and it was also concerned about pupils travelling from home into school and back again. So it's not just the temperatures when they're in lessons and in schools, but also during those journeys to and from. Of course, this is going to present problems, isn't it, for parents having to navigate finding childcare. The government says that they don't advise schools to close because learning and being in school is best for pupils and attending, but that they admit some schools across the country do need refurbishment and refitting. We're used to, aren't we, the weather being problematic for us in the winter with school closures because of snow, but it's looking like it's going to be an issue in the summer too.
The water levels here at Buell are looking pretty good. They're about the same as this time last year, about 3/4 full, but you will remember there were of course some hosepipe bans last year. Now it's been pretty hot today and those temperatures are set to increase, and that's really quite difficult for the elderly, the very young and those with health conditions.
Hi, Vincent. You okay?
Staying hydrated is harder for the elderly and those living with dementia,
Can I get you a drink?
like the residents of this care home in Cranbrook. So during this heat wave, they're being offered refreshments more often, and staff are keeping tabs on how much they're drinking.
With the fluid like juice, water, we try to give it every hour as much as possible. But again, it depends again with the abilities of the residents. If the residents drinks about 200 ml in one go, then we can do it every 2 hours. But for this resident that lacks capacity and requires prompting and full support, we try to do it every hour.
They're also giving more food with high water content like salad and ice-cold smoothies to tempt residents to drink. The South East Coast Ambulance Service is expecting 500 more calls every day as the temperatures continue to rise.
The heat really affects the really old, the really young, and results in dehydration and exacerbations of long-term conditions. What this means is an increase in 999 calls for us for unwell people.
When should people be calling 999 during this heat wave?
What we're saying is 999 should be used for emergencies. Consider other pathways such as NHS 111 in the first instance, but if you are really worried or concerned or feeling absolutely really unwell, then 999 is here for you.
So as some of us enjoy the sunshine, like here in Hastings, experts say we can all be at risk.
There are vulnerable populations, the young, the older population where they don't sweat as well, or they're not able to get rid of the heat. But also populations where they may be self-medicated or where they're occupational, so they're wearing extra clothing, or there's certain comorbidities that they have. So I think there's definitely vulnerable populations that exist, but I think the key message is that everybody is potentially at risk and everybody can do something to help themselves.
So as the heat increases, we're all being advised to take care in the sun.
And Abby, those early morning storms have perhaps helped water levels, but they've also caused some storm water and sewage discharge into the seas too.
Yes, there were several storm overflow releases into Kent and Sussex bathing sites overnight last night, which essentially means that untreated sewage was let out into bathing sites. And now there are warnings about potential pollution at 3 beaches, at Tankerton, at Minster on the Isle of Sheppey and at Herne Bay. Now, those outflows are operated by Southern Water. And Tanya Flask, you are Director of Water Operations at Southern Water. It's not good enough, is it?
I completely empathise with people, but what I would say is that the system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is designed to overflow. And just to set the scene for context, we did have a deluge of rain. There was a month's worth of rain in June that actually fell overnight and this morning. And so if the system didn't overflow, then obviously it would back up into people's homes, and that's something we definitely want to avoid. We are investing, though, having said that, 1.5 billion in the next few years to make sure that we continue to make improvements into our storm overflow system.
I mean, with these glorious temperatures, people want to be going swimming in the sea and not worrying about pollution.
Yeah, and I completely appreciate that. What I would say, though, is the vast majority of bathing beaches and beaches are absolutely safe to bathe in. We just encourage you to reach out to your local council who designate if it's safe to bathe in, and also check out our Clean Rivers and Seas app, and you can actually check where the spills are.
Now, you want to be talking about how we can use water wisely. Buell is looking okay at the moment, but that doesn't mean everything, does it?
Well, no, but we are balancing reservoir levels right across our system, making sure that we're distributing water where it needs to be right across our network to keep customers into supply. And we're also doing our part on the network side as well, making sure that we're fixing leaks as quickly as we can. And in the last year, we've reduced leakage by about 15%, so it's really important that we keep on top of repairs.
What do you want customers to be doing?
So really appreciate it. Everyone helped us at the end of May when we had the last heat wave. So really appreciate it if you just think about your water use. Turn off the tap whilst you're cleaning your teeth. Put the 4-minute playlist on when you're having a shower. And if you've had a paddling pool, why not you reuse the water to water your plants? We've got an online water calculator. Use that. It will give you some tips for how you can actually reduce your water consumption and give you an idea of what you can do. So we'd really appreciate that.
Thank you, Tanya. Now, that red heat health alert issued by the UK Health Security Agency comes into force in the early hours of this morning. The temperatures likely to get even higher.
For staff at Little Owls Nursery in Danbury near Chelmsford, looking after youngsters in the extreme heat is a challenge. Children are more at risk of becoming ill with heat-related issues than healthy adults. So they've had to change the way they're looked after.
Let's go in now because it's getting a bit too hot, so we're going to have some little fresh air in the classroom.
Normally at this time, children would be outdoors enjoying themselves in this play area, but because of those severe heat warnings, staff say they've now been taken indoors each day between 10 and 4 to air-conditioned classrooms where they can still enjoy themselves, enjoying dance and play, but it's much easier to keep a close eye on them and make sure they're staying cool.
We need to make provisions to get them out first thing in the morning when it still be shady and cooler, and then last thing in the evening. So we explained that it's very hot. It makes our heart beat a lot faster, and we get very rosy cheeks. They tend to get it very, very quickly and to understand.
It comes as some schools have closed in the hot weather. Mendlesham Primary near Stowmarket stayed shut today, while in Kesgrave, Cedarwood Primary won't open tomorrow. There are concerns too for the elderly. At the Cherrywood Grange care home in Chelmsford, they're keeping curtains closed and are using fans to look after clients.
We have some residents living with dementia. They're confused. Sometimes they say they're not thirsty. Sometimes they think they've had enough to drink. So one of the things is to promote my staff being hydrated and drinking plenty, and obviously helping the residents to drink plenty as well. And sometimes we'll use ice cubes, we'll use fruit, we'll use ice lollies. This is a fantastic way of getting residents hydrated.
Vera and Nikki are two of Sue's residents feeling the heat.
Well, it's the way I feel. I've got no energy at all when it's hot. Got no energy. I have a nice fan in the room and it's got a nice air coming through that.
You feel like you need to keep drinking, and and we're reminded all the time, you know, keep drinking here. We're never left alone. They come and check up on us all the time.
For those determined to seek out the sun, coastlines including Clacton have been busy, boosting local businesses.
We do understand that climate change and also health-wise and for the environment, But as a seaside tourism business, this is just what we want.
But here too, there are warnings.
We do ask that you always seek shade. If you are setting up on the beach, try and have a form of shade with you. Keep hydrated as well, it's very important. You'll be obviously losing a lot of water if the weather is very hot.
The UK Health Security Agency is urging people to take the extreme heat and health alerts seriously.
All of us need to take care to avoid direct sun, to avoid being dehydrated and to keep cool in order to prevent extra strain being put on all of our body.
Temperatures in the east today have topped the late 20s. Tomorrow, though, the region could nudge up into the high 30s. The advice, by all means enjoy the hot spell, but be aware of the increasing health risks that come with it. Russell Hookey, ITV News.
We are getting up into the high 30s this week. So far today, we've had a temperature recorded of almost 34 degrees in the Greater London area. Elsewhere, it appears to have been hotter and the temperatures may yet still rise. Tomorrow, we're potentially looking at 37 degrees in London and 38 possibly on Thursday. So we've got the heat, we've got the humidity, but we've got another story as well, which came through last night, and that was the thunderstorms and those intense downpours. You may be able to see those thunderstorms now as they came through from west to east, and they themselves have been a problem too.
OK, thank you, Sally, for now, because we'll be back with you shortly. Because we might be grappling with the heat this afternoon, but last night it was thunder, lightning and heavy rain. London Fire Brigade took around 400 calls as intense thunderstorms hit the capital and the home counties. Our correspondent Simon Harris reports now on a long, stormy night and its aftermath.
On the hottest day of the year, this was the storm before the calm. For almost 2 hours before dawn, Londoners were kept awake by the sounds and sights of epic thunder and lightning. This was a station in Ruislip during the torrential downpour.
No way.
In Rains Park, roads were flooded. And in this street in Richmond, people came out to sweep the water from their front doors.
Rain like I have never, ever seen before. I know people would say this, but it was absolutely torrential.
Constant flashes, every sort of few seconds, flash, flash, flash.
It was biblical. We expected to see Noah and the Ark coming down the street.
Hours after the storm, the fallout was being felt by commuters who arrived at stations to find a large part of the underground at a standstill. The energy from the static electricity in the lightning storm played havoc with the computerised signalling system.
Without signals, the entire subsurface network was paralysed, with no trains on the Circle, District, Hammersmith and City or Metropolitan lines. Engineers were forced to drive across London to reset the system manually.
Passengers using mainline trains were also warned of trouble ahead. Network Rail advised people not to travel tomorrow and Thursday because of the disruption expected from the heatwave. Trains will be slower, so there'll be fewer of them.
Railways right across Europe this week are facing the same challenges we are, and many railways are taking the same measures that we are doing to make sure that we can deliver the service to customers that they deserve.
At a climate conference in London, the head of the United Nations made this observation.
This city and far beyond are experiencing the hottest day of the year with higher temperatures to come. London isn't just calling, it's cooking.
By lunchtime, temperatures in central London were in the 30s. In the shade, Berkeley Square was the perfect spot for a break from the office. In Green Park, others made the most of the sun's hot rays.
For me, I've always loved the heat, so I'm all right with it.
We thought we were just going to hang in the park and enjoy our time.
Staying in the shade when we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the factor 50.
Factor 50 on.
I always like the sun, but I know to step outside the sun if it's starting to feel too hot and uncomfortable, then it's time to pack up and go.
Tuesday began with the mother of all storms. It's ending with the daddy of heat waves. Simon Harris, ITV News, Green Park.
And we've got an update on the travel situation for you. Go via Thameslink, which runs Thameslink Southern, and the Gatwick Express is now warning passengers not to travel tomorrow or Thursday unless absolutely necessary. OK, well, the heat wave might be affecting much of the south, but London bears the brunt of extreme heat because of how packed in all our buildings and roads are. Last year, the Assembly warned Londoners are at risk of overheating at home because of how our buildings are planned and designed. And nobody feels the heat more than those sweltering in blocks of flats. Rags Martell has been finding out how bad it is and what can be done about it.
2 in here.
One fan isn't enough here.
2 in Mum's bedroom. And then of a night time, I fill the big one and blow it down the hallway.
We're in Balham House, Sutton, where the sun bakes both the east and west sides throughout the day.
As you can tell yourself, like the next 3-4 days, temperatures possibly getting up to 39, over the 40s. It's the worst it's ever been for us.
How difficult is it to live in that heat?
You can't sleep, you can't breathe, and you can't run away from it because this is our house. We are like cooking in our flats.
The block is wrapped in cladding and insulation that residents say is similar to Grenfell.
That's the reason.
The windows don't open and they fear aircon is a fire safety hazard.
We've got combustible cladding underneath the windows.
We're just outside a flat at the moment, it's 30.7. We're going to look how far it goes up.
Hi, it's right, come in.
So I've just been in this room for a few minutes and you can really feel the heat, but the temperature has already gone up 3 degrees and there's air-conditioned rooms on either side of this, so you can really see how hot it gets. And it's not even 10 a.m. in the morning.
But Balham House isn't alone. Other Londoners are leaving their hot homes to shelter in the office.
So I'm on the way to work now to enjoy some much-needed air conditioning.
While Sutton Housing Partnership say the safety of their residents is an absolute priority, building experts say flats are the hardest to keep cool.
Relatively modern flats are built with glazing that hasn't really been thought through. They might not have cross ventilation, so they're not stopping the heat getting in because there's too much glass and there's no shading.
Our homes built for winter now struggle in the sweltering summer sun. Rags Martell, ITV News, Sutton.
Well, as well as the red weather warning for extreme heat, there's a red heat health alert, which means a risk to life, even for healthy people. Let's talk more about this now with Dr. Veena Babu, who's joined us in the studio. Really good to have you with us.
Thank you.
So we're saying this a lot, this phrase, risk to life, this week. Can you just kind of tell us exactly what that means? What does it mean for our bodies? What goes on with us physically in that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So our body is actually a very smart mechanism where there are cooling systems in place. We sweat, our heart rate changes. That's what naturally happens. But when we're expecting heat like this, we're talking nearly 40 degrees, our natural cooling systems may fail us. So what some people may notice is they have extreme sweating. You may get nausea, dizziness, some leg cramps. Those are signs of heat exhaustion. Now, this is something that is reversible. So if you feel these signs, you want to get somewhere with a bit of shade. You want to rehydrate, not just with water, with some electrolytes, because people sometimes just drink loads of water and they're losing out on all the iron. So the magnesium, sodium, potassium that's needed in your body.
And how do you get those electrolytes? Sorry to...
So you can get rehydration solutions, sachets, or at home, you can mix 1 litre of water with around a pinch of salt and 6 teaspoons of sugar. You can make it at home. So you're rehydrating in the correct way and not ending up worse than you started. If you are feeling almost faint, you want to get somewhere, like I said, in a cool, shady area and lie down, elevate your legs. So that's heat exhaustion. But what happens is that's a sign that you could go into heat stroke.
And that's the serious one, isn't it?
That's the life-threatening one that could actually kill people as well if we don't take action. So when the body is not able to lose the heat as it should, you're not going to get sweat, because sweat is your way to cool down. You're going to get clammy, you might get confused, agitated. Some people even have convulsions or seizures. That's a medical emergency. You don't just go home and lie down. You need to call an ambulance or your doctor as soon as possible, because that could lead to organ failure and much severe.
Right, so we need to be looking for the signs and know how to take it seriously. How do we prevent ourselves getting to that point? What are your top tips for keeping cool and safe?
So as we're out and about in London, enjoy the heat, of course, but carry lots of hydration with you, not just water. The solutions we talked about.
Yes.
Keep sipping throughout the day. Don't wait for thirst to be the signal, because that already means it's a bit late. When you go to pass urine, check the colour of your wee. You want it to be straw and light coloured rather than it being quite concentrated. So those are signs. If you are carrying medication with you, such as insulin or inhalers, make sure you're staying in cooler areas and that they're not getting denatured in that kind of way.
OK. I was going to ask you about the medication, which you've actually covered off and brought that up. But I did also want to mention that some medications can actually make you more susceptible to the heat, can't they?
It can. So if someone's on diuretics specifically, so diuretics make you wee more often. So if you're taking them already and it's these kind of circumstances, it might make you a bit worse. So always check with your doctor before you change your doses. But if you are taking those medications and you feel these symptoms, you want to take action sooner.
Listen, that has been extremely helpful stuff. Dr. Veena Babu, thank you ever so much. Thank you.